literature. Things like Jane Austen wrote, Charles Dickens, things like that. It does have a feminist thread. It has a social justice thread as far as racial inequality and stuff during the Civil War and anti-slavery message, etc. Up Deck would appeal to people who like things like Indiana Jones, film noir. Trying to think of books. Discipline for Hire by Graham Greene, who features actually in the book itself. So things like that. And when you get to Triloquia, that appeals to an interesting range of people. I would say that probably appeals to young people as well as older people. It is a sci-fi fantasy, so it kind of dashes between. So if you like paranormal stuff, there's demons and angels. Of course, they don't come under those names, but the Jahannamites would be demons. The Dudas are the angels, and then there's humans and other alien races and stuff going on. So that would appeal probably to people who like geeky stuff like Star Wars and Star Trek. What else? Guardians, Hitchhiker's Guide, Sherlock. Anything like that that really kind of is a little bit more perhaps serious or dark. There are the topics of domestic violence that go on in that book, and there's a historical aspect. So there was some research that I had to do about the 1960s and the Hungarian Revolution and stuff. Or I'm sorry, in the 1950s, the Hungarian Revolution. When you land there, it's already closed up and happened, and Hungary is dealing with the aftermath. There's still signs of it here and there, the cleanup and stuff, buildings that were damaged, things like that. So who it appeals to, it really depends on what you like. If you like horror, there's a thread of horror in it. I mean, it really isn't pleasant to have a demon chasing you around, literally stalking you. And not necessarily to possess you, but to own you, to bring you to hell, or whatever, become his or her property. And ghosts, things like that. So again, paranormal, horror, it kind of is together. So fans of stuff like that, like The Exorcist, and just stuff like that. As far as the science fiction, if people like thinking about aliens, as far as is there anyone out there, and how come after so many years we haven't heard from them? And that's kind of a really important question, because we're thinking, well, space is vast. I really don't believe that there's any possibility that we are alone in the universe, considering its size, and it just is not going to turn out that way. Whatever that life form, or life forms, I should say, are, they're not necessarily going to be like us. I do have a couple races in there, the Cetians and the Agartians, who are very humanoid in look. The Drago are pretty human, but they're reptilian. And the other ones kind of represent, or the mirror, I should say, the mirror mythical creatures that we talk about in our fairy tales, and even in Greek myths, mermaids and the Naiades, like dryads and stuff, and the satyr, things like that. So those also come up, because you think about it, it's like, how come humans came up with a story about satyrs, for instance, and nymphs? Where did that come from? It came from some kind of thing that was experienced, and it was a shared experience, because there's this whole lore behind it. And then Ovid, of course, wrote his huge poems about all of that, and we can look back and see these things, and they were shared cultural items. So it came from, probably Jung would say, a collective consciousness. And so people who like things like that, they like psychology, they like science fiction, they like a little bit of history. It's not beating you over the head. And actually, the first trilogy, The Shadow Soul, takes place in the past. And then number 2, which is coming out soon, I hope July will be the release date. We're down to developing the cover. That will be taking place in about the 1990s. And then that will bring us up to more current times. And of course, as time goes by, that becomes historical because 2016 is going to be last year before we know it. And when she finally reaches age, and this is Holly, a new character that you'll meet, when she reaches like 30 and 40 and stuff, that's going to be the past eventually, which I always find fascinating. So it's current time, we could say that, but it can only be current time for so long. So it is a story that will eventually completely be historical. It will take place in the past. So that's who it will appeal to. If you want to submit me questions, you can go on to the Blue Honor blog. You go to authorkwilliams.com and you click on the contact form and send me your questions. I would love to answer them so that I can do this blog. Thanks. Bye.